taping their way to glory, blinding the competition with an unforeseen weapon, and even eating a match-winning finisher are just a few of the clever, imaginative, and innovative ways various WWE wrestlers have walked out of an arena with the all-important W. I am Gareth here from What Culture Wrestling, and here are the 10 most creative match finishes in WWE history. Number 10, Rey Mysterio brought a backup mask, The Bash 2009. Heading into their battle at 2009's The Bash, Rey Mysterio and Chris Jericho had already clashed on a few occasions. Their last PLE showdown before the aforementioned Bash match actually saw Rey being shockingly unmasked by the despicable Y2J, with the eventual AEW star rolling up an incensed Mysterio to win the Intercontinental Championship shortly after. That alone sits as a rather creative heelish way to come out on top, you'll no doubt agree. With that despicable tactic fresh in his mind though, Mysterio ingeniously opted to sport not one but two masks on the night of the Bash. And sure enough, as the rivals' title versus mask epic reached its closing stages, that slimy Jericho once again tried to catch Mysterio off guard with a heinous mask pull mid-roll-up. Rather than leave the ultimate underdog clutching his mug though, Mysterio had the last laugh as Jericho's heel antics revealed a second mask on Rey's clever head. One sweet 619 later, the legendary hero had reclaimed his belt in a genuinely surprising finish, and made Jericho look like a right tit in the process. You love to see it. Number 9, Edge tapes Christian's ankles, Rebellion 2001. WWE's 2001 trip to Manchester, known as Rebellion, boasted a fight between longtime pals/brothers Edge and Christian inside of a steel cage, showing off an ability to think outside the box that would serve him well in the years to come. The then Intercontinental Champion Edge had a rather awesome trick up his sleeve for the reigning European Champion. Christian looked to have the match won, crawling down the outside of the old-school version of the structure. But the ultimate opportunist had a brilliant plan. Grabbing both of his one-time partner's legs, Edge yanked his rival Nads first into the steel. Hilariously using his wrist tape, the star managed to actually tie his fellow blonde-haired Star of Tomorrow's ankles together, and that was enough to surprisingly secure the win in front of a rather impressed British crowd on the night, with Edge comically smashing a dangling Christian's noggin on his way down to earth for good measure. What a guy! Now I want to know, what's your favorite WWE steel cage match, my friends? Let me know in the comment section down below. Number 8, The Rock's pre-tape scores him a win over Mankind, Royal Rumble 1999. While on the subject of tape, a certain Great One also used a variation of that very thing to creatively cheat his way to victory in one of the most infamous contests in WWE history. Most understandably remember this particularly savage 1999 brawl for two things: Mick Foley being repeatedly and horrendously smacked over the head with a steel chair, and The Rock bizarrely sporting a black tracksuit to cover the scars of the cosmetic surgery he'd chosen to have around the time. And that's a bit of a shame, as the finish to this Royal Rumble I Quit fight is up there as one of the most creative of the entire Attitude Era. Rocky sensed that his longtime rival would be willing to take a frankly disturbing amount of punishment before ever uttering the much-needed words that would earn him a WWE Championship win. So The Rock opted to sneakily record Mankind saying "I quit" during a Sunday Night Heat promo, and played that very phrase as the masked icon lay battered in a heap at the end of their violent encounter. Admittedly, said crafty deception then unintentionally set the stage for a few more wars with Mankind in the weeks to come. But for a minute there, an overexcited steel chair-wielding Rocky very much appeared to have cleverly cheated the world title away from Mrs. Foley's baby boy. Number 7, Cesaro and Sheamus fool the New Day, Roadblock End of the Line 2016. After holding on to tag team title gold for a then record-breaking 483 days, the New Day came up against a Cesaro and Sheamus on the rise at the second and last Roadblock event to go down on the main roster. The two hard-hitting lads' chemistry was evident during their best of 7 series, and it was that connection which ultimately helped them steal the straps away from Kofi Kingston and Big E in a terrific closing sequence. With Sheamus being knocked silly by an SOS, the Mohawked ass-kicker desperately crawled towards his Swiss super mate on the apron, only instead of snapping his hand off with a hot tag, the pair bloody faked it. Kingston didn't catch the subtle trick in the moment, of course, and was subsequently rolled up by a giddy Sheamus after his teammate ate a nasty Trouble in Paradise seconds earlier. Cesaro took the bullet, but the real star of the show was a phantom act so simple and effective, you have to wonder why more folks haven't dared to take a leaf out of the bar's book in the years since. Number 6, Shayna Baszler is knocked out and onto the floor, NXT 2019. After already failing to prize the NXT Women's Championship away from a dominant Shayna Baszler at TakeOver 25, and then Io Shirai once again took on the Queen of Spades on Black and Gold TV in June 2019, only this time inside of a steel cage. Unfortunately for Shirai, just as it looked like she was about to escape her way to her first piece of NXT gold, the Kirifuda clutch was mercilessly cinched in. That wasn't how Baszler retained her precious title though. In a bittersweet turn of events, the Genius of the Sky was able to break free from the hold with a little help from the nearby cage door. But it was this violent act which resulted in Baszler crumbling to the outside and inadvertently earning the victory. The euphoria of Shirai smashing her way out of trouble quickly replaced by the audible shock of the aftermath, leaving the challenger once again beltless. Number 5. Io Sky cuffs the competition, Money in the Bank 2023. Despite being involved in that aforementioned thriller of a steel cage climax, Io Sky still unfortunately found herself on the losing side heading out of that June 2019 edition of the Black and Gold show. The same could not be said on the night of London's Money in the Bank extravaganza, however. Sky finally went one better after an equally creative final few seconds of chaos. Bodies had been rammed into ladders, faces had been smashed, and the Genius of the Sky herself had already reminded folks precisely why they call her that, with a sensational moonsault off the steps before then. Amidst all that madness though, Trish Stratus and Zoe Stark had managed to lock Becky Lynch into half a pair of handcuffs, and that development appeared to be leading to an unexpected, though probably rather welcome inside of the O2, Bayley victory. But just as the role model looked to be locking in another Money in the Bank win, Sky got some payback on her pal, cuffing the powerless horsewomen together in between the rungs, before taking the time to marvel at an instantly iconic visual. A simple leapfrog was soon all that stood between the shrewd former NXT Women's Champion and Glory. Number 4. Bret Hart and Lex Luger both win the Royal Rumble. Royal Rumble 1994. Remember when Batista and John Cena both insanely eliminated one another as the final two of the 2005 Royal Rumble? That would have definitely ranked as one of the boldest pieces of booking of the Ruthless Aggression era, had it not been a comical mistake that only got more absurd with the arrival of a soon-to-be quadless McMahon. Over a decade before that car crash of a conclusion though, WWE did actually execute this inventive finish on purpose, and it's still arguably the most creative end to a Royal Rumble epic to date, with Bret Hart clearly being the fan favorite on the night of the 1994 event, and WWE's main event project at the time, Lex Luger, not quite connecting in the way they had hoped. The call was made to have both men earn themselves a WWE Championship match at WrestleMania 10. What makes the sight of the two lads flying over the top rope and hitting the ground at exactly the same time so incredible all these years later is the fact that the entire thing could have looked rather dumb, really. Imagine if either bloke hit ringside just a second earlier than the other. Fans would have likely had none of it. They somehow managed to perfectly pull off such a complicated bump though, brilliantly setting up the subsequent arm-raising popularity contest in the aftermath, one evidently won by a hitman who would lift the title in the coming months. Number 3. Victory slips out of Kurt Angle's grasp. WrestleMania 20. Eddie Guerrero had already pulled off something of a miracle one pay-per-view earlier, countering Brock Lesnar's F5 into a DDT onto the gold before frog splashing his way into the history books. But it was at WrestleMania 20 when the champ's reign really peaked. A failed attempt at winning the day via frog splash eventually opened the door for another crippling ankle lock from the Olympic gold medalist. And though the champ was able to somehow wriggle free, the damage appeared to be done as he unfastened his unmistakable golden boot. Smelling blood in the water, a relentless Angle was too blinded by potential glory to realize he'd fallen for another Eddie ruse. As he suddenly stood there with a slipped-off boot in hand, it was already too late. One inescapable rope-assisted small package later, Guerrero had intelligently cheated Angle out of a Mania title win. Number 2. Asuka has missed a hand. Night of Champions 2023. Despite debuting a new look in WWE at this year's Rumble, reminiscent of the one she showed off as Kana in her time pre-sports entertainment, Asuka still lost cleanly to the EST of WWE at WrestleMania 39. And the way the company built up the pair's eventual rematch didn't exactly suggest the challenger was a credible threat, with Asuka simply unleashing another few versions of her missed attack on the champ during the weeks prior to the PLE. In the end though, all that misting was simply a way of planting a seed for an unquestionably creative finish to the rival's incoming battle. After failing in her latest attempt to spit the blinding liquid into Belair's eyes, the The Empress of Tomorrow sneakily covered her fingers with the substance and proceeded to put the champ's eyes out while sitting in the KOD. Not only was Asuka then kicking Belair's head off for the win a delightful twist, the whole finish was one that painted the winner as a terrifying genius. Number 1, Shawn Michaels hit Sweet Chin Music for the Cena win, Backlash 2007. Backlash 2007's WWE Championship main event ended with a creative bang. The contest saw the seemingly unstoppable John Cena defending his gold against rated RKO pals Edge and Randy Orton, and one-time tag partner / Mania main event dance partner Shawn Michaels. As expected, the match was pretty darn good, but it was the closing minute of pulsating action that really helped this one go down in history as perhaps the finest WWE 4-way of all time. Finishers were spammed as Edge took out Orton with a spear, Cena nailed his longtime rival with an attitude adjustment, and HBK finally took out the champ with Sweet Chin Music. Rather than seal the win in the seconds post superkick though, a knocked out Super Cena only went and landed right on top of the Viper. What a nightmare. And the sight of Michaels then scrambling to break up this accidental pin as the ref hit the mat for the third time was innovative cinema long before Roman Reigns started monologuing mid-match. And that's our list. Know of any other ridiculously creative match finishes that have gone down in WWE? Well, let us know all about them in the comment section right down below, and don't forget to like, share, and click on that subscribe button while you're down there. Also, if you like this kind of stuff, then please head on over to whatculture.com and find some more fantastic articles just like the one this video you're watching right now is based on. I've been Gareth from What Culture Wrestling. Cheers for watching this video today, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. See you later!